The November 1501 wedding of Arthur, Prince of Wales and Catherine of Aragon, a grand and elaborate affair, was a testament to King Henry VII's strategic ambitions for England within Europe's shifting political landscape. The extensive negotiations and the grandeur of the ceremony, the most elaborate in over a century, underscored its monumental importance. Despite the marriage's potential, it ended in tragedy, with Arthur's death in April 1502, after just 5 months. This event could later have profound implications when his brother, Prince Henry, decided to marry Catherine. Unlike most late medieval English royal weddings, which were often private or secret, this union between England and Spain was staged for maximum public and international impact. Henry VII, skilled in using propaganda to consolidate Tudor power, had already emphasised his dynasty's legitimacy through symbolic gestures like Arthur's birth at Winchester and diplomatic negotiations. This public display of the union was a strategic move to solidify Tudor's power and influence, making a profound impact on the political landscape. Henry VII's pledge in 1483 to marry Elizabeth of York, Edward IV's presumed heir, fueled opposition to Richard III. Their marriage in January 1486 and the birth of their son Arthur in September solidified Tudor's legitimacy. Aware that his claim came through conquest, Henry, with unwavering determination, sought to secure his reign by fostering loyalty at home and forming international alliances to prevent foreign support for his rivals, thereby exerting his influence on the marriage. King Henry VII recognised the rising influence of Ferdinand of Aragon and Isabella of Castile, whose final victory in the Reconquista and exploration of the Americas reshaped Europe. The Anglo-Spanish Treaty of Medina del Campo arranged Arthur's marriage to Catherine of Aragon. It solidified trade ties and established a mutual stance against France. This treaty not only secured a powerful ally for England, but also set the stage for the grandeur and significance of the marriage between Arthur and Catherine. After the executions of Perkin Warbeck and Edward Plantagenet, who were seen as potential threats to Henry's reign, Ferdinand and Isabella viewed England as secure for their daughter. By 1500, Henry's advisors were planning an extravagant marriage celebration to showcase Tudor's power. Henry's ambition made this wedding one of England's most spectacular public displays. Catherine was supposed to land in Southampton for a swift ceremonial journey to London, but poor weather delayed her departure from Spain. She landed in Plymouth on the 2nd of October 1501, forcing a quick journey to London, where the King's elaborate street closures and planned entertainments could not be easily adjusted. Elaborate pageants on the Thames and throughout London welcomed Catherine with symbolic displays, mechanical devices and actors. Religious and cosmic allegories highlighted the couple's divine right to rule, while Henry VII skillfully emphasised their shared lineage to boost Tudor's credibility. For the wedding on 14th November 1501, St Paul's Cathedral was redesigned. It featured a raised walkway that showcased the couple, dressed in white satin in a grand royal spectacle. A wine fountain, a symbol of abundance and prosperity, was provided for the public at the church's west door, further enhancing the festive atmosphere. Arthur and Catherine's wedding preparations had been underway for over 2 years. Westminster Palace was adorned with Tudor symbols, dragons, greyhounds, roses and portcullises, emphasising the family's rise. English cooks were tasked with showcasing the best local produce, served on gilded plates, reportedly worth as much as a national tax. 3 days of tournaments at Westminster's rebuilt Tillyard followed the wedding, and the celebration ended with an exchange of gifts marking Catherine's formal welcome into England. At the heart of these grand events were two teenagers, Arthur and Catherine, who had met only 10 days before their wedding on the 5th of November. Catherine, lightly exhausted by her 5 weeks in England, faced enormous expectations, as did Arthur, whose letters reveal his determination to love his new wife and make their union successful. Though a language barrier led to humorous moments, both were highly educated and prepared for public life, and even so their marriage had been arranged since childhood. In mid-December 1501 the couple departed London for Arthur's Welsh domain. They spent Christmas, New Year and 12 nights at Ludlow Castle, their official residence, symbolising Arthur's role as Prince of Wales. The joy and optimism surrounding their new life were palpable, with Arthur even writing to Ferdinand and Isabella expressing happiness with his sweet bride. Their stay at Ticknall Palace, a private home upgraded by Henry VII, provided comfort, while Ludlow Castle stood as the seat of Arthur's authority. Catherine's large Spanish entourage added to the spectacle, bringing a sense of grandeur to the small Shropshire town. For the royal families, the only news that could have increased their joy would have been the confirmation of Catherine's pregnancy. Proclaiming the fertility of the next generation would have strengthened Henry VII's reign as he faced the deaths and retirements of key allies after 1500. However, Catherine of Aragon never became pregnant. During the annulment proceedings of 1527 and 28, she firmly insisted she was still a virgin at Arthur's death. While exhaustion and shyness may have explained a quiet wedding night, the couple had ample time for intimacy during their winter at Ludlow in 1501 and 02. Yet Arthur's post-wedding comments seemed more like a boastful teenager trying to impress rather than reliable testimony. He famously told his servant, "Willoughby, bring me a cup of ale, for I have been this night in the midst of Spain," and later quipped, "It is a good pastime to have a wife." Thomas Grey, the second Marquess of Dorset, and others like Anthony Willoughby and Sir William Thomas also provided anecdotes suggesting the couple shared a marital bed. Despite such claims, only Arthur and Catherine knew what occurred behind closed doors. Some speculated that Arthur may have been unsure of his marital duties, a situation that likely would have resolved in time unless a medical issue prevented him from consummating the marriage. Arthur's sudden death on the 2nd of April 1502, likely from sweating sickness, has led to further speculation about an underlying health condition. However, reports from the Maundy Thursday service on the 24th of March indicate no visible signs of illness, making his death unexpectedly swift. Catherine's testimony later became a key factor in the annulment case. A solemn oath held great weight, and given the intensity of her early months in England, it is unlikely she would have forgotten the details of her marriage. Her account, though, remained firm, casting doubt on whether the marriage was ever consummated before Arthur's death. The 5 months Catherine spent with Arthur in 1501 and 02 left lasting memories for her. For Henry VIII, however, his older brother, Arthur likely evoked different emotions. Henry's divorce from Catherine hinged on the details of her first marriage, though the truth of what transpired in Arthur's marriage bed remained unclear. By 1530, Henry was deeply preoccupied with the thoughts of his deceased brother, as Arthur and Henry shared only 11 years of life. As Duke of York, young Henry received little attention as all efforts were focused on preparing Arthur for kingship. Arthur lived primarily at Ludlow, shouldering the burdens of leadership early, while Henry thrived on courtly life, honing his charm and social skills. It gave him a manipulative edge in politics, though he had little experience in governance. After Arthur's death, Henry was suddenly thrust into the role of Prince of Wales, with the weight of royal responsibilities. Arthur's passing coincided with the deaths of Henry VII's close allies, adding pressure to expand the royal family. This need contributed to Queen Elizabeth's tragic death in childbirth on the 11th of February 1503. It is unclear whether young Henry, just 11 at the time, blamed Arthur for the shift in his circumstances or their mother's death. An illustration in the Vaux Passional shows the court mourning, with Henry grieving in the background. As Henry matured, he would have recognised that Arthur's survival would have precluded his rise to the throne. His feelings toward his brother were likely mixed. He kept Arthur's portrait, books and clothes, but harboured a lifelong fear of infectious disease, possibly linked to Arthur's sudden death. Over time, Henry's lack of a male heir weighed on him, and the memory of Arthur's untimely death played a significant role in his decision to annul his marriage to Catherine. Henry followed Arthur as second son, the second Prince of Wales, and from 1509 second husband to Catherine of Aragon. His understanding of Arthur likely came from conversations with Catherine and others, as his memories were limited and idealised. Arthur's brief life, however, profoundly shaped England's history. If you loved our video on Arthur and Catherine, you won't want to miss this next one. Click on the screen now to explore the untold stories and hidden secrets of another fascinating figure with a story to tell. Get ready to uncover more historical gems and intriguing royal tales. Your next adventure in history starts right here.